And you're right, I'm wrong. I don't know about race cars.
Hey, welcome to Turn 4 Talks. I'm Nate, this is Pop.
What's
How y'all
happening?
doing tonight? Hope you enjoyed the race weekend, and as always, hopefully your favorite driver did well, and if they didn't, well, at least it was another racing weekend, so can't complain there.
There you go. Mine did well.
Oh yeah. As always, we'll start off with the lower series. I think despite no trucks running this weekend, there was one of the biggest storylines in all of NASCAR.
Jim, pull up that
Clearly
video.
the truck series. Daniel dyed his career.
And Roger Penske. I love Roger. Love you, Roger.
Die cry why?
No, I mean, you think the guy with the suicide helpline sponsorship and who was a community activist award winner in the last few years and who has already had previous troubles with certain things, notably the nut punch, you'd think the guy would kind of have some help. I mean, he's running for the Dodge team, which obviously my mixed opinions throughout the year here so far, but he really, that's what a foolish thing to make homophobic remarks in a sense. I just, in this day and age especially, you should know better. I just don't see, he'll probably end up with some ride in the future. I don't see him coming back to colleague. I definitely don't see him with Dodge. I just, what a, yeah, and I mean, obviously we'll see AJ this upcoming weekend at Darlington, and they'll have at least somebody fun in the truck. And I'm curious if that becomes All-Star truck number 2, or if they have, maybe one of the guys who didn't do so well on the show come back and who might not have contractual obligations. But I mean, where are you feeling with all this?
Man, holy homophobics over there, Batman. That was crazy, man. He had more screws loose than a house in a hurricane. It just blows my mind. Watch the video. Was the guy drinking? I mean, I just don't get the gist of that. And today's day and age, that's uncalled for. I mean, it really isn't. And it's sad. It's sad. Hey, it might have been an out for colleague, man. It wasn't like he was performing, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the not so great trucks. I mean, obviously they're fighting for a position in the playoff points right now, and besides Haley, there's a level of wanting to get everybody else in, but he wasn't setting the world on fire or anything. So I mean, maybe being able to move on from that's a good thing for Dodge, but we'll have to see from there.
On a more positive note, I mean, we're talking Darlington. There's a lot of great throwback stuff coming. I mean, the Dodge trucks alone are pretty cool. I saw the 11 with the throwback to the 23 look pretty sweet. I mean, it's going to be exciting. I mean, you kind of got to love those guys. I think they get excited for it too.
Yeah, I think the biggest question mark that comes from me is definitely the Brent Cruz situation out of this. In the initial video, he stood up immediately when he kind of realized what was going on and stepped off camera, took his face away, and went to quote unquote check his phone. But, I obviously he wasn't part of this in the sense of like participating, but he was still kind of half compliant and still being in the situation. He didn't say anything to be like, bro, stop, like, what are you doing? He just kind of smirked and just went away. You could see on that smirk, he knew, but
his father looked like a jackhole, sounded like one, excuse me, don't know the guy. But, that definitely probably killed their side hustle there with that cards they were doing as well.
Yeah, I mean, that card break thing in its own world is definitely not our world in the NASCAR world, but it's definitely already kind of a weird contingent point. So the fact that they've continued just to make it worse, I've been, even online, like on Reddit, I've seen people from that community kind of just blasting him because they were like, this is pretty rough even for our world. And So, hey, I guess we'll see how it plays out. The most curious thing about this now at this point is who ends up taking the truck the rest of the year. But
There you go. But they'll be racing at the Lady in Black this weekend, so have some more chitter chatter next weekend. We'll see how it all rolls. Go
Yeah.
AJ, by the way. Good to see him in there.
And continuing of Lady in Black Darlington talk and who will not be racing is the thing people probably are clicking, but he's been racing, not claiming the points, but he's been racing full time for, I think it's the 25 car in the O'Reilly series. So they're now down a driver because he was indefinitely suspended. So I haven't heard who's going to fill that seat yet, but it's clear that he was running multiple series and had multiple chances, and we won't be seeing him on Friday or Saturday. So, yeah, I mean,
Ouch.
Yeah. Besides that, the actual O'Reilly recap over here.
Wow.
You got to see some cup dominance. I mean, first and second was clearly Larson, and then you had Briscoe running in second, and then, I mean, even Zillisch wasn't too far off. So, I mean, you got to see a lot of the cup guys. While we all don't want to go back to the full term of, like, the cup ringers, it's kind of fun to see those guys when they compete because it really makes you
want to watch it.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, it's even for context, like Corey Day, like everyone was joking because it was the two identical cars running behind each other after Larson made that move, but.
And he didn't seem to have the strongest car. He didn't. He had just experienced and he knew what to do with it. I know he was there racing behind Day, and he just saw that spot, and he's like, "You're not taking that. I'm taking it," and that was the move. That helped him.
But I mean, how many cup drivers have gone through and said that? Like, those are the kind of things that getting beat by those guys made them realize they had to do something different. And I'm all for the raising the allowance of how many races a cup driver can run in the lower series because it makes it fun. You start seeing these things, and Daniel Dye is gonna. Daniel Dye.
Why?
Oh wow. Corey Day. My brain's still stuck on how wild of a faction that was, but yeah. I mean, Corey Day is going to learn a lesson, and he really is getting better.
He's figuring himself out.
Wreck half of the field. He didn't wreck half of his teammates.
It's probably why he didn't dive in front of Lawson and go for that window. But hey, he's trying.
Yeah, but to be a good champion, there's got to be that middle ground. You've got to have some balls in a sense, and like as the old Art and Senna quote is, if you're a real race car driver, you're going to find the gap, and if you don't fill it, you're not a real driver. But at the same time, I mean, in the Cup Series especially, you can't always pick those spots. So it's one of those things where you wonder and you start to think and you're like, hey man, like, you're going to pick it up. I'm still not sold on him, but I think he's starting to prove me wrong in a sense, and I'll give him credit for that.
It's early in the season, I mean, it blows my mind with Lawson. Like, Byron, he was a shoe for that car. He opted out to run Junior's car, and then now this weekend that was supposed to be Bowman doing the show at Darlington. Now he's out, so Lawson's taking the ride for Darlington. So, and he does magic at that track sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
to go back to that, excuse me.
No, I mean, that's a very good point, though. It's interesting because obviously Larson had a set number of races, and you wonder, obviously, how the season plays out. They announced 3 more weeks for Bowman, minimum 4 weeks if you count the April break or the Easter break, or either way, not Easter, it's the Mother's Day break.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they always race Father's Day because us guys like to see racing.
But yeah, so I mean, he's pretty much going to be out for another month, which they announced, and I think this was the last of his Xfinity starts, or O'Reilly starts for the time being. But there comes a point where you start to worry.
Wait, I think I'm onto something. I think more mothers got to start watching these NASCAR races and be into it and let it know so we can get a Mother's Day race in there. Just putting it out
Hey, you know.
there. Sorry, Mom.
Moving past the Cup regulars, is there anybody who stuck out to you as an actual O'Reilly driver this weekend?
I got my eye on Raja and of course Carson. I think they're holding their own. I mean, Carson was in the 9 this weekend. Nothing crazy. I don't know how that mentally between the two of them adjusting to crew chiefs and cars, but I give them props because they're doing the best they can. I mean, which is kind of cool to see, I gotta say. And again, yeah, it was definitely, that was a good show. It sounded good too.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely won't beat a dead horse here because we've talked about it and we're going to continue to talk about it. But between Quapple and Raja, the whole numbers game is a mix. But they've clearly shown that regardless of equipment, they keep showing up, and we'll see how it plays out at the end of the season. Somebody who's in a full-time ride, who I think is going to start worrying very soon here, is Jeb Burton in that 27. He's not doing bad by any means, but he's clearly not catching some of the breaks, and he's on the cutoff line. And I think that, maybe over a long season it'll work for him, but I'd start to get worried about him if I was sitting in that team camp, because if a couple things go another way, you get a Ryan Sieg win or a good finish or something. I mean, just throwing that in the air or whatever, but you end up definitely not in that top spot to end up with a playoff run.
And the point you brought up, like Sieg and Haas, the Haas cars ran good again. I mean, you had the 41 on the pole, just bad luck in the race, but the 0-0, and you even had Cole in the 0 in there. He didn't have the best day either, but the switch to Ford, I kind of felt like they'd have more results, but felt like they were running better in the Fords in a sense. I mean, the Sieg brothers, man, they were always surging up there.
Yeah, I mean, Sieg, I think, was definitely probably hampered by that. Clearly, Sheldon Creed has proved, at least on his side, that it hasn't slowed him down. He ran well. I mean, even as the third place finisher.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I might have it backwards, but still a third place finish from Haas factory team was showing that they made the right choice. And I mean, I'm a big Ford guy, but it's definitely something that they might have to have considered this worked out for him.
Well, Creed, he's proved that if it's got wheels, he can drive it. I mean, he was the bridesmaid for a while, but he put on some shows on time with those second places. They weren't just like luck. I mean, he was some hardcore racing for those spots. And I meant to go back to the Jeb thing. He's got sponsors that I think are really. I think his career is hanging on at Anderson a little bit. That I mean, you watch their podcast, and he's really a salesman for his sponsors. So, hey, you wish him luck, and you hope he gets a spark. I know he keeps watching his cousin doing a little better than him too, fighting for a ride, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. And there comes a sense where, obviously, especially in the lower series, being marketable is a big deal. And, he might not have the continuous results, but Jeb has clearly shown that, he's going to say the right things and do the right things and not make horrible comments during a card break session or anything like that. But alternatively, somebody who got a bad rap to start the season because he pretty much paid his way in is Dr. Strapoli. And
big machine, right?
Yeah, and I gotta say, and it's clear from the results, he's not setting the world on fire, but he's not just some broken douche who bought a spot. He genuinely can drive, and that car's just outside of the spot for the playoffs, and things keep going his right way, and he keep getting consistent finishes, as we've seen how this points change has adapted. I wouldn't be surprised to see him sneak in.
You're a driver and you put the effort in and you work on your racecraft and you study and you go to the shop and learn about the cars and you put that effort in. I think, you know, even consistency, like, hey, I got a top 10 car, let me bring this home in 10th and not, try to wreck myself for 8th. I mean, it was old style racing, but I think a lot of people are feeling that crunch lately.
Yeah, and then unless you had anything left for the O'Reilly series, I think we'll jump right into the Cup.
Vegas, baby, they rolled the dice on that one.
Oh yeah, which, as you were just saying though, is there's that level of consistency of just trying to put a car where it's supposed to belong. We clearly saw that last week at Phoenix with Denny. Is he knew he didn't have the car to win. He kept giving it a shot, of course. But you take it where you can get it and you finish where you can. And then the weeks where you have the car, you have to full on execute. And I gotta say, very emotional win for Denny. Obviously, that's clearly talked about with all the struggles he's had with his personal life and family in the last year. And I gotta say, he drove the wheels off that thing the best he could.
Sponsor contention. He should have been like Yahoo, because that was that. I gotta say, man, you kind of felt like, when they were showing the telemetry at the end of that, you were like, is he slowing down or is he bait and chase? Like it was going back and forth because, and that's what he does. When you saw Cody Ware stuck between the two of them and, wasn't changing, Chase wasn't gaining on him, I think it started to tell the story like, he wasn't going to get to him. A lot of people, even myself, were like, we wish I had 10 more laps. But I think Denny had that sewed up.
I think Denny definitely left a little on the reserve from the tank and didn't show his whole hand. But I also think Denny had more of a short to medium run car. And Chase clearly had something that was fast on the long runs and consistent. If you compare like fall off and just lap times. Now, does that actually mean anything? As much as equally a Chase fan, you start going, oh, if you, as you said, only had 10 more laps. But, how many times have we seen something like that where it was even, we were saying that last week with Phoenix, as if Bell had a few more laps. It just, how the cookie crumbles.
Well said, my friend. Well said. It's, and that's why we're fans. We love it. I eat it up,
So, somebody for sure who wished they had 10 more laps was Chase Briscoe, who didn't need to find the DVP garage this weekend. He still had some horrible luck. But,
he was screaming caution. He was waiting for Connor to spin out again. What are you talking about?
Well, we'll get to Connor in a second.
Sorry.
But Briscoe definitely showed he had a fast car, and listening to it on the radio originally, he just kept rolling his way through the field and making up spots. And obviously, finishing in the double digits isn't pretty, but he's at least showing that if you can overcome a few of these challenges, you're not going to completely stay out of it, despite him being far at the bottom of the points. But it's a long season.
JGR cars, man. I mean, we're starting to see that, as Macho Man said, the cream rises to the top.
But the cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
I mean, because you see it, 2311, the Hendrick cars and jump subject, man. RFK, man, those guys are representing Ford. It's supposed to be Penske, but RFK guys are showing up, man. You gotta love that.
No, I mean, I think they're still a little undersung. Obviously, Buescher and Priest and Brad have all been running well this season. They've all had some ups and some downs, which is how it's going to go. But for the most part, I mean, it was really cool to see some of those guys up there and fight, and especially Brad specifically, because you wouldn't know the dude's barely able to walk outside of the car after the race with the way he's been putting it out on the track. And you got to give some credit. They're not bottom of the barrel, especially considering how many top drivers are hovering in that bottom rung of the depths of the well.
Yeah, you had Priest. I mean, he's just outside the top 10, man. Yeah, and he wasn't a factor all day, but he showed up, man. That's I you know, you watch that stuff, you know, it's impressive. There's no doubt about it.
Good point, Stick. And for some reason, people keep saying that, like, oh, you're not going to say that, but
We're saying it.
I will say it to the end. I mean, there's obviously we haven't heard that really, but there comes a point where, you know, you get to the end of the season, get close to the start of the chase. There's going to be some day where you looked and you said, wow, I finished here, and it's going to be a game changer. I mean, even we were just talking about Chase. If, yeah, as much as he wished he had 10 more laps and had some time to reel in Denny, another top five finish, especially second, and just continually adding to these points, persevering through a couple bad moments at Phoenix. He's sticking through it, and yeah, obviously he lost a spot in the points, but you know, I think these are going to be the things that make a difference at the end of the year.
Yeah, and he needs a win. Catapult him back up there. I mean, the two people that passed him are both winners. You got Blaney and you got Hamlin. They moved up. I mean, Bubba was consistent. So, I mean, he was rolling along there, along with those guys like Chase. So, give him all credit, man.
I think the Bubba thing is one of the most interesting things. Is, you know, I don't think you can quite Matt Kenseth it with this point system and pretty much one win your way into a championship here. But the fact that he's still second and ahead of two other drivers that have won. Oh, yeah, either way, the fact that he's still second, it just shows how strong of a season he's had. And yeah, again, nobody's going to look back in years and years and go, oh, he finished fifth. But, you know, he's been there.
It blows my mind is, you know, in the media, they're talking about, you know, when his wife gives number two, that he's talking and stepping out of the car for that race. You're like, I mean, it's crazy. I guess if you had the points and you felt that comfortable, but the world's changing, right?
He's been a whole different driver since he became a father, and I love to see it, honestly.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him for not wanting to miss one of those moments in his life. You don't get to take that back.
I get it.
But we'll see how that all plays out. I'm certain. You mentioned Zillisch. Welcome to the Cup Series, my friend. And as somebody who's been a big Zillisch fan, well before even in the Cup Series and well before even the O'Reilly Series, he said it on the radio, but he's clearly not having fun.
Yeah, you know, when he was on the road course, they did an interview with him with Latott, and he's like, I wasn't mic'd up saying what I was saying, but he mic'd up in this race, man. He was one unhappy guy in that car. You know, you heard it.
He was the only car to cause a caution, and it was a semi-solo spin, and it's...
He didn't save it like, you know, the Burgermeister. That was something safe, man. He was coming off the corner, that thing jacked, man, and he damaged the splitter, but he didn't wreck that thing, and he kept rolling, right?
No, I mean, he didn't bin the car into the wall or anything and still kept going, but that's been his story this season, is get into a slightly stupid wreck and hover into the back half of the field and kind of just fall into the abyss of nothingness. And
so you balance like Day's experience with Connor in a way, like, you know, he's in these new cars and he is, I mean, Trackhouse is Trackhouse. I mean, is there something going on there now too? I mean, that's questionable, but
I mean, that's a great point with the Trackhouse side of it, because clearly even Ross isn't in the contention fully. He's one of those guys who are hovering a little farther back than you would have expected. But the difference is, I think Day was getting a hard time from us and other people personally, because he was pretty much a bat out of hell and was checkers or wreckers, and he hadn't even got the checkers. Whereas Connor's been, minus this week, kind of just in all of the events. Like Daytona, looking back, it wasn't him that caused the wreck, but he just happened to be the one who got a good little chunk taken away from his day and just hovered through the back of the field the whole time. You start, I think that's the biggest difference between the two of them. I think Connor at least has the racecraft already, at least in a stock car, down. Like, it's not like Connor's going out and wrecking people, especially teammates. But he's clearly not Kevin Harvick closing it.
Yeah, it's definitely the closing. It makes me flash back to Lawson. I remember an early interview with him, like, you win 10 races, in 2 week period. How are you going to adapt racing the big guys and not winning these races like that, And, obviously you have to jump mentally, but, you see the year he came off last year, and now it's a learning curve, man. These cars, obviously, you get, you see Chase was, and even someone like Kyle Busch, who was that old car, this new car's not doing what they want it to do.
As you mentioned, there's a learning curve, and we'll see how it all plays out. Again, it's going to be a long season. We're still only 4 weeks in. I think some of the good positives, though, is you look at the tires. I love Goodyear saying, if there's an issue with the tire pressures, it's not our fault. We told them to recommend it, and they're not recommended for arbitrary numbers. We quite literally spend tens of thousands of dollars on having people. And look, I don't blame the teams for getting every inch of advantage they can.
Yeah, they learned that from the cool suit people, man. Come on. Oh, vice versa. I don't know. Cool suit guys were like, yo, this is the specs for this thing. You're going to change something. Don't blame us if your boy's hot. So I guess if your tire blows and you hit the wall, what do you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you run your personal car with a really, really low tire and something happens when you're going down the highway, it's not the tire's fault. I mean, if you get that big old bulge at the bottom, and especially considering you don't get the tires as hot as you do on a cup track or any series, it's not a tire defect. And I love, though, that they said that and they took it off their hands. And, obviously you still saw a bunch of tire failures, but it makes it exciting. I don't mind people trying to push the limits any way they can to get an advantage in these cars.
That's what it's all about. I mean, right? I mean, they took a lot out of their hands. There's not engineers spending, 20 hours a day trying to figure out how they're going to make something better. And now they're, one of those only little pieces you can play with. That's putting your handbook. So, hey, I got a question. Like,
all right,
what, Danny Boy, man? What? Come on, what was up with him and Chastain? I mean, I respect. He had his hands behind his back. He went over there to talk. He wasn't looking to fight, but he definitely had something to say.
Yeah, we've mentioned he clearly has a vendetta and a point to prove, and there's the Venn diagram of his vendetta against Trackhouse and the point to prove that he's a good driver who deserves a ride, besides just being marketable. And I think Ross just is in the wrong time, wrong place, and they clearly, especially some of the interviews we've heard, were not the best of friends. They put on a good smiley face on the public cameras, and they didn't really interact much outside of it. But
he called him Two-Faced, man. He was like, that guy, he's your friend to your face, and then he's, I mean, they were running for 17th and 18th, man. There was a battle there. Like, what's the points there?
And I mean, clearly Ross has gone back and even said, like, yeah, maybe that wasn't the best way to handle it. And even Danny said that. I think it's just some things boiling over, because clearly, even since the clash several times, Danny's just kind of walked through him. Maybe it calms down at least a little for the time being, or maybe this just sets a fire on it. But I just think Danny is just going to keep doing what he's doing, and there's no stopping him at this point. And Ross is Ross. Like him, hate him, or anything between. He's toned down from being the Hocevar of the field like he was a few years ago, but I mean, he's still a solid driver. I'll give credit where credit's due. So
Well said, man. No, definitely well said.
yeah. Any final remarks about the Cup Series or anything racing wise? Or
Man, they took the title off throwback weekend. You gotta love everybody that's playing with the paint schemes. It's still fun, I mean, it's not a throwback weekend. Takes the pressure off of everybody having to do something. But kudos to all the teams and drivers that want to honor people. And I love seeing it. So
no, it's definitely fun and it brings back nostalgia. And I kind of don't mind that NASCAR has pivoted away from the calling it that, because then you'd be disappointed when you have all 400 cars running their regular schemes. But at the same time, it's still seeing all the Biffle tribute schemes or the Dodge schemes, as we mentioned, or ironically enough, that 34 car is going to be running pretty much the same scheme with Root Bush in the car instead years later. It's been 5 years, but I don't know who at Front Row genuinely is a connection or loved knowing Racing Bill Elliott 9 so much, but I won't knock it. But
it's a little Darlington magic, that's all.
Yeah. So besides that, I feel like we're ready to prime to run into this weekend and see how it kind of all plays out. And
horsepower too. I mean, that's the story. These guys are they're gonna be pushing them tires again, pushing some horsepower. It's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to obviously sit through and enjoy every moment of it, and can't wait to see some cars going around the track this weekend. And yeah.
So with that said, man, we love having you. Man, please smash like, smash subscribe, check us out on our other media, man. We love you. Send us questions, nothing too crazy. But man, see you next week, and thanks for having us.
Take care.
I've done nothing wrong, and I will not tolerate it.